Greetings, my brothers and sisters. Sending gratitude to all of you who are joining in today to accompany us down the rabbit hole of self-exploration through plant medicines. My name is Ryan Sprague, and I'm here to tell you that your frequency is now set and tuned to explore psychedelic medicines and the impact they've made among the countless psychonauts exploring the last true frontier. Buy a ticket and take the ride with me as we get true first-hand accounts of the experiences, benefits, risks, and transformations taking place within the ever-expanding world of psychedelic medicines on This One Time on Psychedelics. For me, psychedelic medicines have always been about achieving a higher quality of life and knowing thyself to deeper degrees. It is within knowing all aspects of us and learning to accept ourselves from a place of compassion and love that we can open up the beacon of light that allows us to be a lighthouse for other souls on their journey. By opening up this ability to be a lighthouse within each of us, we can also open up the opportunity to see ourselves reflected in each person we meet along our journey and enter into a relationship with, whether platonic or romantic, in nature, these individuals. Today's guest on the show is someone who encompasses this lighthouse exquisitely for those he loves most in his life and the world at large. His mission in life, which stems from his own previous challenges within this realm, is to help men take accountability and ownership over their challenges they experience within their marriages by allowing them to recognize that it is up to them and them alone to love themselves enough to become the men that they, their spouse, and the world at large are yearning for them to become. And in doing so, also allow the women of the world to understand that they too must be dedicated to the same type of self-love to ensure that when these two polarities come together, that they can support each other in becoming the king and queen that love has the opportunity to create in each partnership that occurs here on earth. He accomplishes this both through his personal work with his clients and also his podcast, the Married Game Podcast. So please help me in welcoming the one, the only, my man Keith Yackey to the show. Keith, my brother, great to have you here with me today.
Oh man, Ryan, I'm stoked to be here, bro. I'm stoked. It's an honor, and ever since you reached out to me in that Instagram thing where we just were kind of sharing vibes back and forth just about how much I love cannabis and what it's meant to me and the THC and all, I don't know. I felt instantly like, because I don't hang out with a lot of people that are deep in the community. I'm in my community, optimized and on my gig, and have been for about 10 years. And I feel like the rest of the world's starting to kind of catch up.
Yes.
And I love it.
Dude.
And I love it. So I felt like a kindred spirit as soon as you reached out to me. And I was like, this is my kindred spirit. I like this guy.
Hell yeah, dude. Likewise, man. You know, guys, for those listening, and I think I put this in the outro too, but I'll repeat myself with it. When I first heard of Keith, I forget who it was, but someone that I know sent me a reel that you had made or a post you had made about your gummy tech, right? And how once a week, I believe it was once a week or maybe once a month, but you would on Sundays, I believe, you would connect with cannabis through the form of a gummy. And I believe you would just stay in one room and just get ideas galore on the whiteboard, right? And then take those and integrate them. And I was like, I got to talk to this guy because it's not every day that people understand that with cannabis, right? I think in the modern day world, psilocybin, ketamine, MDMA, which again, no, not knocking those medicines. They're fantastic. But as I speak about often in the show, cannabis is the most practical. You know, it is the people's plant, you know? And so being able to connect with someone who was intuitively tapping into that power, I was like, I got to talk to this guy. So I'm so excited to have you here, man.
Yeah, dude. I love it. It's such a trip to be on a show talking about this. And I was telling some of my friends about it. And they're like, that sounds like you, dude. I go, cool, man. This would be probably the funnest podcast I ever did.
Dude, hell yeah. That's the intention always, man. You know, I say often that, you know, my whole thing is fun. You know, it's like, I think that whether we're talking about things that are, you know, traditionally thought of as quote unquote fun, or things that are traditionally thought of as not fun, like healing and challenges and things like that, I think you can have fun with all of it, right? Like that's what alchemy is about. It's about taking something that's more dense and converting it through transmutation into something that is lighter. And I think we can do that with anything because we are so much more powerful than we truly are told we are. And it's like Neo in the Matrix, right? When he's being told that he can stop bullets and he's like, so you're telling me I can stop bullets? And Morpheus leans in and he's like, I'm telling you that by the time you have to, by the time you learn you can, you won't even have to, you know? And it's like, mind blown.
So beautiful, dude. It's so beautiful.
Oh, I love it, man. So Keith, where I love to start these episodes out is a little bit about how you got interested in the form of psychedelic medicines. And cannabis is a psychedelic to me, right? So whether you want to take it with cannabis, any other medicines you connected with, but I love to see this because, and I've said this often, but it bears repeating, right? Is that, we grew up in times where prohibition was a thing, right? We grew up we're still growing up at a time where prohibition is a thing, but there was a lot of stigma. There was a lot of, stigmatization and these kind of things going on. But something in you knew to connect with these medicines anyway and go against the herd mentality. And so I really like to get into the mindset of individuals that, instead of just saying no, just said yes. So tell us everything, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I was the just say no guy. I mean, I grew up surfing and playing a lot of sports and I was just pretty much like a typical American kid. I was athletic. I was good at sports. I found surfing and bodyboarding. And I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do that for sure. And when I was 15, I got high with I was like maybe freshman in high school, but the seniors who were I was as good as surfing as them. So that's why they let me hang out with them. And, but we all got high one night and I was so paranoid that I was certain everyone on planet Earth knew I was high and I was going to jail right then and there. Okay. So at 15, I'm talking, I was that's 1993, 94, somewhere in there. So at that point, I was like, I'm never fucking doing that again. Cause I was falling, I was sinking into mattresses and walls were swallowing me. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And I would see my friends older on, they'd be like, oh, I love cannabis and all that. And I'm like, how do you even operate? Because here's my next experience at like 30, 32, 33 is my buddies and I putting the butter in brownies and then eating the brownies. But that was before they were selling edibles. So, dude, you might get the half a pan of brownies that is really potent and your buddy might get the other one. And I was like, how the fuck does anybody? So I was like, that was my second opportunity. And I'm like, okay, I liked that. I just can't get anything done. So what the fuck is going on around here? And it wasn't until I would say about 5 years later, which is about 10 years ago, that when it started coming out in the dispensaries and everything was very mathematical and I could learn the math. Oh, this is how much milligrams. This is what it does to me. And I realized, well, dude, anybody who does 200 milligrams of THC in a brownie that big is not probably getting up from the couch anytime soon. Yeah. But on 3 to 7 milligrams, I've never been smarter. I've never seen around corners the way I've never been able to see into myself like that. And so it was at that point 4 years ago when I decided I started recreationally using it for about 3 or 4 years. And then 4 years ago, I thought, I want to connect with my creator. I was a kind of a Christian goner. I was actually a pastor of a church. And then I decided to step out of all of that and said, you know what? I'm going to find my own path. And I said, what if I take 30 milligrams of gummies? And at that time I could do 10 or 20 and I was definitely in the pocket, but I'm like, I'm going to do 30 and I'm going to light a candle in a dark room and I'm going to pull out a whiteboard and a whiteboard pen and I'm going to sit and I said this. Now, I don't know who I'm talking to except my creator. That's all I know. So I don't have a religious affiliation anymore. It could be anybody as far as I'm concerned. So it's not a knock on anything. It's just, I just said, speak, Lord, your servant's listening. Because I came to a point in my life where I was tired of listening to everybody else's opinion about everybody else. Who the fuck knows anything? None of us know fucking anything. We're all exploring and adventuring and figuring stuff out. That night, I got one of the coolest downloads that really set my life free. And at that moment, there's not a soul that could pry me away from believing that this is the most holy thing that I'd ever experienced. And it was simply this. Growing up as a Christian, being a pastor, thinking you're going to hell and that God's mad at you started to stain my soul. And that night, the question came and said, what if I'm not mad at you? What if I'm really proud of you and you're one of my all-stars?
Wow.
What if you actually embody all the coolest things about a human, that is joy and peace? You encourage people. You've been through so much business ups and downs, personal life ups and downs, and you've come through shining and positive. What if I'm actually really proud of you? And that opened everything up and I go, well, yeah, that actually makes a lot more sense. That makes a lot more sense. fuck, I'm in. And I've been doing it. I'm on month 45. I haven't missed 1 week of a gummy tent. And I don't know if anybody could cause me to miss it. I don't, nobody's more important. That's what it became for me. And so now I have journals full of stuff. Sometimes now I do it here in the man cave over there on that couch. It's become such a communion with me and my creator that I just can't believe that more people don't understand this. And as I've shared it with a lot of my friends, I've probably taken 60 people into the belly of the beauty and the belly of the bliss. And not everybody has the same experience I do. And I came to realize, wait, this chemical is hitting me. This beautiful chemical is hitting me in a different way than it hits some other people. And so while I've tried other things, this is the one that consistently, constantly takes me into that pocket. And so that's why I love cannabis so much, man. It has made me such a different human.
Wow. Keith, that is absolutely amazing, man. And you're speaking my language. I mean, I've connected with many different psychedelics and they've all done beautiful things for me, but cannabis and I were like this. And, I've been able to connect with the spirit of the plant many times. Most recently, I was in a 5-gram psilocybin journey I was mentioning a little bit before we hit record. And it was so funny because my whole trajectory with the plant was, I found it at a young age. It helped me with my anxiety. I never got a user manual like most of us. So I ended up connecting with way too much of it, not being emotionally aware, numbing out my feelings. My father passed away. I ended up numbing my feelings. And by the time that I realized I was connecting with it unconsciously, albeit still getting some really wild results, but, connecting with it unconsciously, I ended up reformulating my relationship. And now it's, from what I teach from. But, when I was in this ceremony, I was cackling so hard because I met the spirit and she's such a sassy spirit, man. Like it's like a typical woman, right? Like a lot of fire, right? And a lot of beauty and just like potential and just, the power is unbelievable, the feminine energy. And so, I was dancing with her in this experience and she was like, oh yeah, we do this in every lifetime. You find me, you become obsessed with me. And then you realize that in order to become the man you have to take a break from me. And then we become the power couple that we were always designed to be. And it's just so funny, man, because again, I think that there's no other plant medicine that is more misunderstood and also more ostracized and demonized. I'm even part of certain spiritual organizations that try telling me that cannabis is going to steal my soul, that cocaine is better for your energetic body than cannabis. And I just laugh because every time they say these things to the class, I see them glance at me because they know what I do. And I don't say anything, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not my place to, educate people that obviously don't want anything to do with it, right? But at the end of the day, Chris Bennett, he's a cannabis historian. He has tracked cannabis back over 10,000 years and discovered that it has pretty much been a part of every occult practice and spiritual practice since the dawn of time, including referenced in the Bible, right? So in the Bible, Jesus's anointing oil is part of this plant they call cannabosum. And they mistranslated it according to Chris from cannabis to mean calamus. Now, cannabosum sounds a lot like cannabis. And when you look at the recipe that Jesus, apparently used, it is the exact same formula as what now makes RSO, which is healing people's cancer. I helped my father through end of life with it, right? So very interesting stuff, man. But again, it's so amazing to be able to come out with these experiences because that is ultimately what's going to be continuing to break the stigma. Successful, amazing people that are living heart forward, that are saying, yes, I'm connecting with this medicine because it breaks people's paradigm, right? They're like, wait, you're not a lazy stoner. You're not fat slob or any of these things, right? Like the things that they have been told cannabis users are, like, it's kind of like we're walking red pills, right? In a lot of different ways, right? But especially with regards to cannabis, man, it's so powerful.
Dude, they sell us poison in a bottle for a good time and tell us the thing that will truly like heal your soul is restricted.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And a lot of the things that about stuff, like I haven't done a lot of research on that. Like when you said the history of cannabis, my heart immediately said, ooh, I never studied that. I only know my history with cannabis. And if have you ever heard the rappers Cunning Linguists?
I believe so, actually. I believe so. I think I have one of their songs saved.
Okay. If you have the song Beautiful Girl,
I'll write it down.
It's all about Mary Jane. And he talks about, hey, they want to test 3 times a week. They want to test our relationship. I want to change her name. Her first name can we call her Calamity Jane? Like all the beauty. It was just this ode to this thing, this experience. And you called her the woman. And I love that because you know, what's interesting is she does do these 2 things. Every gummy tent, there's a soothing, like, come here, man.
Yeah.
I love you. You're doing amazing. And there's the almost the strict piece that says, hey, you also have a higher standard that you're used to living at. Let's not slip from that ever, because the living by a standard brings you the joy that you have, and you're not immune to anything. The process is what gives you the product that you like of your life. So never forget this. And so there's almost like this softening and stern, and she's both.
Yes.
And I need that. I need to be told, Keith, you're doing a great job, and I believe you can do better because you're so powerful. Let's keep going.
Yes. Like I always refer to her as like a pocket coach, because that's what a good coach does, right? They say, hey, you're doing great, and I know you can even do better, right?
That's so
and they
true,
call you
dude.
forward, right? Like they don't call you out, they call
Coach
you forward.
Cannabis.
It's so funny, man, you know? And it's like, you know, what I've found, especially with men, right? And there's actually, I think in Jamaica, there's a whole theory around this called Peter Pan syndrome, where essentially what a lot of men are doing is they are connecting with so much cannabis all day, every day, that they do not find women, right? Like they're essentially like, you know, misplacing women in their life for cannabis. And you know, I've seen this across many men, and women have their own challenges with the plant too, but specifically with men. And it's, you know, it's very inviting. It's very intoxicating, right? Like, and not intoxicating in the sense of like intoxication, but more so like, you know, like feminine energy, it can pull men in. And like my buddy Angelo, you know, has always said, for a man, it's like feminine energy is a pit stop, not a rest stop, right? Because if we rest too long, we start losing the drive, right? And then we start blaming the women in their life, right? Oh, cannabis made me lazy. Cannabis makes me anxious, instead of taking fucking ownership of it, right? And that's why I love what you teach, because it's so similar to what I'm teaching, just in a different subject. It's just really hilarious parallel universes.
You know what's so cool about what you just said, Ryan, is so true, is if you set the intention, because everybody goes, like they go, Keith, you're in shape. You've done 75 hard. You do these things that are disciplined and regimented. How do you do that without getting the munchies? And it's like, no, I set the intention differently.
Yes.
I set the intention that when the munchies come up, that we don't eat, and we love not eating. Like we would never overindulge. No, we restraint is power. Like it turns these almost Marcus Aurelius stoicisms into the highest virtues, and the best version of me is going to live by my highest virtue, not squander myself on something temporary. So it does exactly what you're telling. It's like, it takes me and says, no, let's set the intention of this is going to make me stronger, wiser, bolder, all the things. Yes. And it can do that. I'm not just looking around to play video games and Cheeto dust. Sometimes I want to just listen to some good reggae and some good Mumford & Sons and feel Oh, Ryan, I got to ask you, when you experience this, I can hear every instrument separately when I listen to music, when I'm highly optimized. Can you do that? Does that happen to you too?
100%. And I think scientifically the reason why is because cannabis moves us from beta brainwaves into alpha and theta. Alpha is most, you know, notorious for the flow state. Theta, though, which I think is really powerful with regards to what you're talking about, because how we're speaking about cannabis, and many people listen to the podcast know I talk about this often, but we're talking about it as not just a tool for self-awareness, but also a tool for self-development, right? And so to be able to, what is self-development, right? Well, first of all, it's self-awareness, then it's radical honesty, then it's self-acceptance, right? And so like there's this 5-stage process that goes down, right? Radical self-awareness, radical honesty with self, radical honesty with others, self-acceptance of self, and then acceptance of the world around you, right? So when you're moving into theta brainwave specifically, now you are impressionable. That is the exact brainwave that hypnosis puts you into, right? So now if you have an intention and you lay that out beforehand, and you have focus and presence the same way you would with a woman, right? Like, you know, it's very common, you know, with my girlfriend, if I'm moving around too fast and she wants to hang out, you know, she'll say like, I want you to be present with me. And I'm like, whoa, okay, yeah, I totally get it, right? Well, cannabis is very similar, right? Like if we keep ourselves so in our typical state and don't set intentions and are unconscious with it, well, how do we expect, you know, the feminine healing to come through, right? But on the other hand, if we allow that intention, we can get into that theta state and really start allowing all those instruments to come alive and them to inform us, right? Because it's all frequency. And with that frequency, we can start up-leveling our entire development as a human being. And that is fucking cool. So yeah, dude, I 100% have the same experience.
Dude, I think if I'm going to write a book about cannabis, I'm going to say how cannabis made me a better parent too. I learned my greatest parenting tip ever. And I don't know what the exact listener is that listens to this show, because I don't know that there is an exact listener except all of us who love this beautiful creation that our creator's given us to all partake of. Yes. But I realized to be a good dad, I didn't need to get my kids to do what I like doing, but I needed to get into what they liked, to do what they wanted to do. And on cannabis, I have an alter ego. Again, is setting the intention. If I'm going to be all day with my daughter who's 8, I want to be on a 10 or 20 milligrams of gummies for one reason. I become Brovy. And my daughter's name is Jovi, and brother of Jovi is Brovy. And brother of Jovi, Brovy, is 2 years older than Jovi, who's 8. So I'm 10, but I drive and I have a lot of money. So I go, I'll tell her, because I don't take Saturday and Sunday off. It's my day to be a dad and a husband. And so I work harder on those days to be more present with them and do things with them than I even do maybe Monday through Friday with my own business. And so I go like this, I go, Brovy wants to know if you want to hang out. And her eyes go, oh, dude, that means, and we sit down with my phone. I'm just giving you some experience of what this has done to me. Ryan, is this cool to share?
100%. This is perfect.
So I open up my phone and I put on the notes page and I give it to her, and we come up with the playlist. What is the list of things we're going to do today to play all day? And she writes, she goes, what do you think about this? I go, oh, that sounds amazing. She's like, well, what do you think about this? I'm like, that's exactly what I want to do. And everything's a yes. And everything's a hurry up so we can go do it. And everything's in the middle of it. Isn't this the greatest thing ever? So it's like, dude, imagine you're an 8-year-old daughter with a dad that shows up like a 10-year-old who wants to do everything you want to do, but also is teaching you to carry your own weight, pick up the trash on the trail, because we're not picking it up for anybody else. We're picking it up for us. So we walk right. We don't have to walk on a trashy trail. I'm teaching her all the things that I believe about carrying your own weight and being a great human being. Also, hell yeah, we're going to go to the fucking bouncy house and jump on trampolines all day. Do any of your friends want to come with us? Awesome. Okay. And a movie after? Fuck yeah. Oh, and build slime after? You fucking damn right. We're going to go do that. And it just made me so damn present to where I'm like living my childhood again with not through my daughter, with my daughter.
Yes. We
have so many inside jokes, but yet she knows, dude, that's dad. If anybody tries to hurt us, Brovy's going to fuck them up, dude. And so it just becomes this thing where I was able to connect and not have to be like, how do I connect with my daughter? Dude, I just give me 10 or 20 milligrams with the intention of this is her day. I'm building memories with her. It's made me not a little better dad, 100 times better dad.
Dude, thank you so much.
Even when I'm not experiencing it, it's reset the intention and the standard.
Hey, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the show. I wanted to take a quick moment to let you all know that the doors are officially open for the Conscious Cannabis Collective. And as such, this is the last week you can sign up and receive all of the bonuses we're currently including. This is the last time I will be personally onboarding those of you who sign up with a complimentary one-on-one session, and you'll have the ability to get the Grow with Cannabis course for free during this limited time. For more info on how you can take advantage of this offer, head down to the show notes for this episode and secure your spot today, as we only have so many spots left and they are filling up quickly. Now back to the show. Wow. Keith, thank you so much for sharing that, man, because, these are the personal experiences of why I made this show, right? Like I made this show, not simply to speak about the experiences we have with psychedelics, but what comes forth as a result and who we've become as a result of really like, what are we doing here? We're taking off masks, right? Because society, our parents, school, everyone around us is trying to tell us either consciously or unconsciously, probably let's assume from the best of intentions, but from their own malware programs and viruses and things that are in their subconscious that are challenging, right, to say the least. They're trying to teach us who and how to be, right? And then there comes a certain age where hopefully we start taking those masks off. And so there are tools from which to do that with, right? And cannabis is an ally. That's how I've always seen this spirit, right? Is an ally, something here that's not the moon or sun, right? Because the moon or sun is us, our experience, our lives, realizing that we are God having a human experience, right? That's the moon or sun, right? But along the way, there are fingers that can point us back if we become disoriented. And that's exactly how I see cannabis, psilocybin, coaches, mentors, like all of these, realms of assistance in life. They are these fingers that can go, follow this way. Hey, you're getting warmer, you're getting colder, right? And I'm glad you brought this up because, even though I'm not religious, and you'll like this too, I'm very spiritual. And I know a good line when I hear it. And so the Bible states, if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, what must you do? Enter the mind of a child. So what does cannabis do? It also brings forth laughter. What is laughter? A result of joy. It's a side effect of joy. What is our innate state of being as human beings? Joy. When you take all the masks away, joy is what naturally is there. When you watch children, right, they are in a state of joy. And then an emotion hits them, and because they don't have a rational brain or anyone telling them yet, hey, that's not okay, or don't do it this way, they just allow that emotion to come out, right? And it triggers the hell out of adults a lot of the time. Don't do that. Oh, you're not supposed to do that, right? But actually, they're teaching us what we've forgotten, right? Because if we're able to allow our emotions to come out, well, now it's like emptying the email that has 17,000 unread emails, right? What's left there? Space. And what can you do with space? Whatever the fuck you want, right? So it's so funny, man.
Yeah, bro, that's so beautiful because you're right. It's space to create. One of my firm beliefs early on, through all my spiritual experiences and man, all of it is simply, man, we were created to create. We are all happiest when we're truly creating. And I believe the happiest people are ones that are painting with their own brushes, their own colors, and painting their own painting. We all love an original. We love it, dude. Like, okay, if you can't afford the original, sure, the lithograph will work. But fuck, the original's so valuable. Nobody says, hey, hold on, let me take my shoes down to Home Depot and spray the bottoms red. We'd be like, come on, stop, man. That's not the original. So we love when people are original. And what I've discovered about cannabis is it allows me to be me. It allows me to go, yeah, dude, I had that bad experience with my first wife. I cheated on her. I did that. I've had the experience with, dude, I've lost businesses and I've fucking shit up. I've take business up. I've taken business down. Yeah, I've done that. Fuck, man. I felt super embarrassed doing it too. Shit. Yeah, actually, my wife now, she left me 6 years ago and because I was a piece of shit. I didn't cheat on her and I didn't beat on her, but I wasn't showing up. And so she's like, I'm a hot fucking chick that can get anybody I want. And you were amazing until you stopped showing up. So, hey, motherfucker, we deserve better than this. And you need to pull your head out. And guess what? She left and it made me pull my head out and created everything I've now created thus far. And all along the way, it was just like, I've done that. Yeah, I fucked that up. And that's why people resonate with me. And that's why guys trust me when they come to Married Game or do anything I do with my Zen Brotherhood. Because they're like, Keith's going to just fucking tell you, hey, this is all a bunch of horse shit because I've done all of it. And I'm still here shining because that's human to do all that stuff. And we love when people just admit, yeah, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this. I've done all that. Now, is there anything else I forgot? Oh, yeah, I did do that too. We're not denying shit. We agree, we exaggerate, and we just go, because I found that cannabis has dropped my ego and said, who am I really? I'm just trying to do the best I can, man. I'm not dogmatic about how everybody's supposed to go, where they're supposed to go. But I do know this. I feel way more empowered to create what I want to create without anybody's judgment because their judgment now has become irrelevant. That's because I sat with myself in this beautiful consciousness that this plant that comes in this beautiful little gummy, when I eat it, 42 minutes later, I go, ah. And now I feel empowered to say, you know what? Actually, vices, it's not that it's good or bad. It's just, it's not good for me. That vice isn't good for me. It's not doing good for me. So I'm not interested in that. That it's not, I can or can't. It's just, I don't want to because, man, I actually fell in love with me. I go, wait, I'm gonna start. And you know how I best showed it? This is the craziest thing. I started doing everything I said I would do when I said I would do it without fault. That one thing changed my life. And I learned it all by cannabis, sitting with myself, figuring out who I was. Dude, I used to not like that I had freckly skin until one night I heard my creator say on cannabis, that's exactly how I made your skin. And I kind of think it was cool when I rolled that skin out. What the fuck? Who do you think you are to complain about? You got spots, bitch. Not everybody's a fucking leopard. You are. And I was like, I've got spots. I've fucking got spots. I'm one of the lucky ones to have fucking spots.
Yes.
That's a blessing, dude. So it just reframes everything into, dude, I'm not a piece of shit. I'm a human that's part divine somehow and a lot of animal. Or maybe a lot of divine and a lot of animal. I don't know, dude. I want to do really kind things and I want to fuck shit up. I want to do all of it, man. And I admit all of it because that's what all of us, that's who we are. So that it's been allowed to be, you talk about awareness. Yeah, it brings about pure awareness. And then you go, oh, well, I've accepted all that about myself. Then when you accept yourself, you go, I don't need anybody else's acceptance. I love their acceptance. I like it. I like when someone gives me a big hard hug and says, man, you've made my life better. I love when my wife looks at me and just says, man, you're the man. I fucking love your wife. But I don't need it. But I sure fucking like it.
Dude. I mean, you know what's so fucking amazing about that? We're so in alignment, dude. Like, I always reference. So the universe speaks to me in analogies, movies, gym analogies, all these different things, right? And so I always like to add in a little bit of comedy with this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, right? Like, what was so powerful about the movie 8 Mile? It was a story about a man who was trying to hide and be something he wasn't, right? He was trying to hide the fact he lived in a trailer. He was trying to hide the fact he was white. He was trying to hide the fact that he was trying to be a rapper, right? He didn't truly believe in himself. And then what is the best scene in that movie at the end? When he goes, yeah, I am white. I am a rapper. I do live in a trailer with my mom. My best friend is an idiot and shot himself in the dick, right? And in accepting all the parts of him, he takes all the power away from his opponent and puts it all back in himself. He's like, I am so loving of who I am. Try me. I'm unfuckwithable. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And when you become unfuckwithable, man, like this is the whole point of life. And it's such a thirst trap that in society, everything that's glamorized is meant to be, oh, I'm perfect. I'm a Kardashian, all of these kind of things. And again, no judgment, just clear discernment, not my flavor of ice cream. You know, we're here to be messy. We're here to color outside the lines, right? What do kids teach us? Dad, you don't need to color inside the lines. Where the fuck did you learn you had to color inside the lines to make it good, right? Like, the fuck even is good? Good and bad are a duality made in the mind. They don't even exist, right? Like, you know, again, it's like we have to go deeper and deeper and deeper to understand who and what we truly are as divine beings having a human experience. And at that point, life becomes one big play. And we can enter what I call vacation vibration, which is exactly what you're talking about with your daughter, right? Like, you know, when you're doing that, when you enter this state of vacation vibration, right? That vibration that, you know, in movies anyway, they tell us we'll enter on vacation, right? Well, most of us, when we go on vacation, we're so used to being busy all the time that we don't know what the fuck to do. And we end up checking our emails and doing all that shit. So if you can practice being in vacation vibration, even when you're working, right? Like even when it's the weekend and maybe that feeling of like, oh, I want to relax. Well, what would I do if I was on vacation? Fuck it. I do it anyway, you know? And so like being able to access those things, it exactly like I said in the intro, it creates a lighthouse because everyone makes mistakes. That's the thing that brings us all together. Our diversities, our challenges, those are the things that actually make us similar, right? And allow us to see each other reflected in one another. And the second that someone goes, yeah, man, yeah, I fucked up my marriage. Yeah, I did this, whatever. Everyone else is like, oh, thank God. I can take my, you know, tight corset in a metaphor off and be like, yeah, you know, I fucked some stuff up too. And see that I can still be loved even though I've made mistakes. Because again, a big thirst trap is thinking that if we make mistakes, we are not lovable, you know, and we are not enough. And all of these things that plague so many of us, things that I'm sure you rehab men out of, I rehab men out of, right? I've rehabbed myself out of. And so it's just
myself.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like it all starts within, right? Like the law of correspondence and hermetic states, as within, so without, as above, so below. And that's why I tell everyone when they're like, this person wronged me, and if my job was better, then I would do this. I'm like, no, those are all thirst traps. Everything is inside. And when you get your internal correct, right? And by correct, I mean you love yourself and you accept yourself. Sure, you can have discernment of like, I don't like this job anymore, right? but you'll also know it's up to me to fucking leave it and find a new one. And hey, if my marriage isn't going the way I want, what's inside of me that is also contributing to this? And how can I own that and then have a conversation, not from a place of anger, but from a place of true alignment and curiosity between how can we grow between this challenge, right? Or above this challenge. You know, when you can get into that kind of mindset, dude, life becomes one big fucking play. And it's kind of the same way that if your daughter wants to play hide and seek, you know, technically it's a game, but for her, it's real, right? But when you're having joy like that, you can get yourself lost in the game too, right? It's exactly like that. Like once this starts happening, you can really start becoming fully present and once again, enter that mind of a child that is required to enter the kingdom of heaven. And heaven is a place on earth, right? Just like that song says.
Hey, dude, Ryan, I got to pause. I never talk with anybody like you about this. My friends call me Gummy Bear, right? That's one of my nicknames. And 19 became my favorite number because of what happened in 2019 when everybody else went away. I doubled down on my business. I doubled down. I'm not going to be ruled by fear. And it became so I'm like, this is my new favorite number because it means something to me now. Because the Gummy Bear 19 is not just a fun-loving guy, but he's also extremely fucking ferocious and will go after exactly what he wants and we'll get it. Yeah. And so my buddies call me Gummy Bear 19 or GB 19, and we have it on our jerseys. We have a little pool league. We're crazy like that. We're just kids.
I love it, dude.
But when it boiled right down to it, Ryan, they all my close friends, they're just like, and some of them will do gummies with me, and they love them. But like, I'm kind of like the guy they look to that knows the most. So when I'm sitting here vibing with you, like all my friends here would be like, oh my God, we've never seen Keith light up like this, talking about this because I've never, what's that?
Bromance.
Yeah. It's just, and a depth, bro, that of like, you know what I'm talking. I'm not explaining to you something you don't know. You're like, oh yeah. And hey, when you were down there, did you see this? Oh my fucking God, of course I saw that. That's the vibe that's happening. And what's the most interesting thing is this like acceptance of self by realizing you are what you are. It is what it is. And how beautiful this opportunity we get to go. That's exactly what helps every single one of my guys in Married Game was I go, listen, you are the problem, which means you are the solution. So if you realize and recognize I'm the fucking problem, my wife left because I was a fucking problem. I wasn't a good parent. I wasn't a good partner to her. I always made pretty good dough, but I lost my player with her. I wasn't, taking her on dates, being fucking buff, chiseled, and absolutely stunning. I wasn't standing in my power, doing what I said I was going to do without fault. I wasn't the provocateur like we talk about in my business, but that's cool because you can become that. So I'm the problem. I'm the solution. Oh, well, fuck. Then that means it has nothing to do with anybody else out there. That's awareness, man. Dude, I got a new saying for you. I think you'll love this, dude. It just came to me 2 days ago. Truth is the trailhead. Everything wonderful, amazing, and adventurous happens after that.
Yes.
Truth. Real. Hey, here's where I'm really at. Oh, okay. Well, dude, I know exactly. Now I know what on the map, and you want to get here? Oh, fuck, that's the path. But if you're like, I don't know where I'm going to lie to where I'm like, bro, I can't fucking give you a path from fucking somewhere. I need 2 coordinates, bitch. Let's go.
Yes, dude. You know what I love about this too, man? And I feel the exact same way, man. It's like, I don't get to speak to people often that, I have people on the show, obviously, that resonate, understand cannabis and love other medicine. They have different relationships with different medicines, right? But it's not every day I get to meet someone who has this relationship with cannabis like you do, right? And like I do. And so it's so funny, man.
We're in love with the same girl.
Dude, 100%, man, It's so funny, man. And, it's like I tell everyone this, I tell them that to the degree that you are not being unapologetically who you truly are, right? Setting boundaries and doing these things, which, again, like I'm not anywhere near perfect at this. That doesn't even exist anyway, right? But I speak about it because it's still stuff that comes up for me, right? And living heart forward can allow other people to go, oh, I don't have to be perfect to be able to start that thing. It's like, no, how would you ever be perfect at something you never even started, right? So at the end of the day, like to the degree that you're not being unapologetically yourself, how do you know that the people, places, and things you're bringing into your life are actually right for you? And how do you know, more importantly, that the person that you are isn't actually flabbergasting and kind of like side tricking the people, places, and things you're bringing in, right? Because people are so quick to say, oh, the people in my life are assholes. Well, how do you know that you're not the asshole for pretending to be something you're not and wasting their time, right? So at the end of the day, right, like being Eminem at the end of 8 Mile allows you to know who the right people are, what the right places are, and what the right things are for you. And the other people that aren't right for you will go find the people that are right for them. And so it's doing yourself the biggest service, but it's also doing them a service as well. Because if someone doesn't choose to love you for who you are, well, then, hey, wish them well. But at the end of the day, you got to cut that weight, right? They're not the right people for you. And so, I always say this, right? Like, have you seen Home Alone before? I'm sure you've seen Home Alone, right?
We just rewatched all of them this Christmas with my daughter. So yes.
Dude. So you remember in the first one, right? Where Kevin, he figures out that, his parents are gone and he's like, I made my family disappear. I made my family disappear. That's exactly what we're talking about, right? It's all my fault. It's all my fault. It's like that cognitive shift that can happen where you realize, and this is exactly what happened to me, and cannabis allowed me to see this, right? When I realized I was connecting with unconsciously and everything, I was like, oh my God, this is a me thing. Oh my God, it's all a me thing. And it just changed the course of my life forever, because now I know that every time I try to point a finger, there are 3 pointing back. And what more empowering thing to recognize that at any point I'm trying to blame anything, I'm just like cock blocking myself from seeing the real issue, which is like, what is the outlier in every situation? Me, right? And so how can I use whatever I'm receiving in my external environment as information to show me whether I'm getting warmer or colder away from who and what I truly am? It's fucking powerful, man.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Man, if there was a fucking guitar solo on my heart, that was it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck me, dude. It's so beautiful. So, dude, it's so true that you get. Can we encourage the audience in this way? When he talks about being authentically you, if you do that long enough, and I've been this guy for about 4.5, 5 years, like really genuinely, I wear the short shorts. I put my fucking coyote fur on me. It's me. It's me. It's me. And if you don't like it, then fucking, I don't know what to do. You must be brain dead, because this is beautiful.
Yes.
But here's what I want to encourage everybody. We're all finding out who we are. We're all getting pure. I call it the blue flame of love is when it's just the purest stuff. And when you start to expose who you really are, you start to see who's accepting the pureness of who you are. And so what happens, what I thought was so beautiful, after time, the only people in your world are like, wait, everybody here is fucking amazing. Oh, because who I am has served as the filter for long enough that only the people that really appreciate the original authentic version of me have stuck around. And they don't just stick around. They are pumped to fucking be there. Pumped. And so you're like, I feel all this love from my best friends and from my clients, from my this, because when you're authentically you, dude, people they know exactly what you're about pretty much from the second you open your mouth. And I think that's fucking great marketing.
100%, dude. It is the best marketing, dude, because again, like, we're not here by chance, right? Like, I think that another one of the beautiful things that cannabis and psychedelics do is they allow us to create that space, first of all, that is necessary to contemplate on deeper questions, such as, who am I? What am I?
Yeah.
Where do I come from? Where am I going? What is my purpose? Those are 5 questions that I ask myself every single morning. Sometimes, like most of the time, I'm not looking for the answer. I'm looking for whatever answer comes to me that day. Because again, if we are all the ocean in a drop, as Rumi said, rather than a drop in the ocean, well, then everything that is within us, right? So depending on what day, what flavor, etc., we are everything. And so those answers allow us to explore new aspects of who we are. And that's what this term shadow work we hear a lot is all about, right? It's not about fixing something, because that would entail that we are broken. We are not broken. We are human whole beings, right? And to be able to look into your shadow and see that you have within you the capability to be a dictator or Gandhi, right? And recognize all of that. Well, now you're able to love all parts of you, because the best part of that is you realizing, holy shit, I could actually be those people that I looked down upon for a long time or judged or any of these things. but I'm consciously now choosing to be this. And that is fucking cool, because that is something to be really proud of. Yeah, exactly. It's fucking cool.
Freedom. Choice is freedom. Like that's, dude, you're hitting all the nails, man.
100%.
You're hitting all the nails.
100%.
So beautiful, dude. That whole blue flame thing too, that you're kind of mentioning and we were talking about is, dude, Jesse and I go through that a lot. I always tell people when it comes to, marriages and relationships, especially long-term relationships, because short-term attraction and long-term attraction are two very different things. They're cousins and they look a lot alike, but there's different mechanisms that cause each to work. Like short-term attraction is options. If you say no to me tonight and 4 other very beautiful women, one of them is going to say yes, but you would want to be in that coveted spot, then you're highly attracted to me, right? Well, when most people are in monogamous relationships. If they're in a monogamous relationship, well, that whole other options, that mechanism fucking falls away. So it's now not other options, but the leverage is now you are the greatest option she could have ever had continually, always. So it's not that you actually have other options, but she understands there are true other options if I don't fucking also rise up and meet this guy's standard. Beautiful things. But going from a shitty relationship to a good one, I don't want to say it's not that hard, but there's some very basic steps to do this. Going from good to great is when you start to pull away and you go, I've never showed anybody this, but this is actually what I think about men and women. Oh, fuck. You believe that? Well, why do you believe that? What do you mean you believe that? And then you start to have this is your very, very, very best fucking friend. And you're revealing, hey, this is what I actually think about cannabis. Hey, this is what I actually think about whatever. And you're like, well, fuck. I found that's the test. The next level for Jess and I every single time is how honest were we really with each other about what we really want. Oh, that takes a tremendous amount of courage.
100%.
And actually dropping of the ego. So if Jesse ever has a grievance or a complaint against my attitude or action or anything I've done against her, which we have those as couples, right? If it's she goes, I'm kind of, we will usually have our referee, which is the wizard, who will put on Zoom and we'll have a session so he can kind of help us hear each other and understand each other's different dialects. But if it's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of a deal, she'll like, hey, maybe you should do 5 milligrams, because she knows that it will drop my ego and I'll hear her in a different way. And this is what happens, Ryan. It's so fucking funny. I wish we could video it so you guys could see it. It's just, I know how crazy it is, but I pretend like we're talking about Keith, whoever that fucking, that because you know how wives are like, oh, fucking Keith this. I go, yeah, tell me more about that fucking Keith dick. And I'll literally genuinely be like, is this the shit you talk to your mom about? She goes, totally. I go, fuck, it makes so much sense right now. It makes so much sense why you would be so fucking angry. And fuck that. Why are you even with Keith? She said, well, he's a fucking amazing guy, but this is the shit that pisses me. Fuck that guy, dude. Fuck that guy. And so I actually can get on her team, be like, fuck Keith, because the awareness is what's really happening. Not are you going to offend me? What's actually fucking happening? And so it's really been very interesting to use it as a tool for us to be able to, she goes, he's not going to take this in a super hyper defensive way like most men do, even though like we all get defensive at times, but that drops it down to her. I'm just like, wow, you're fucking not wrong. She said something the other day. It was the most fucking brutal truth she'd ever told me in her entire fucking life. And I sat and I looked at her and I just said, you are not wrong. You are not wrong. And thank you for your courage to tell me that, because that's fucking really commendable. And when we went in to meet with the wizard, a couple hours later, I was like, hey, we got to open up this session with congratulations to her for fucking speaking her truth and finally getting it out what she really wanted to say. She risked everything in saying that, and she should be fucking commended. Cannabis taught me to be this way. Open to listen, curious, fucking curious as the day is long. Oh, what? Hey, you fucking hate her? Yeah, tell me why. What'd she do? Is the hating her helping you, hurting? Like, I'm just curious. Like, just give me some curious. I get fucking curious as shit, dude. That's a superpower, man.
It is absolutely amazing that you said that, because there's something that I speak about often when it comes to cannabis, right? And the idea is that if who we truly are is not the ego, right? Then what I love about what you just said is, it's kind of like this spiritual thing I learned recently. It's literally like what you just said is the embodiment of how to actually do something that's pretty esoteric and out there, right? Which is the idea of who is the me in the equation, right? Well, the me doesn't actually exist. It's the ego, right? Like when you go beyond that, you are the all, you are nothing, right? When you're the ego, you are everything, right?
You're the all, you're the nothing. What the fuck, right? This is beautiful.
And so like, it's so beautiful, right? Because in that detached version, right, of yourself, you're actually Jesse. You're as much her as you are you, right? And so you're able to vibe with her in the sense of like, I see you as a soul, right, that is teaching, right? And now I am listening because I am a soul that wants to learn, and to be able to do that, man, is just so fucking cool. And, and it's so powerful because again, it's practical, right? Like, everyone listening to this show, I guarantee has gotten into a disagreement during their lives, right? And the great thing about what Keith is saying, everyone, is that whether you're with a friend, a colleague, a boss, a romantic partner, this same type of thing works. And you don't need cannabis for it, but it does help out a hell of a lot in the certain condition we are in as human beings in the modern day world with these egos that have been going to the gym metaphorically since we were 6 years old in grade school. So it's like we skipped leg day, right? We have a roided out upper body and we got fucking chicken legs for a fucking soul and heart, right? And so it's like the ability for us to do these things allows us to do these metaphorical heart and soul squats and deadlifts, and it allows us to see these things because one of the things I say often is that if you are ever bored in a relationship, you're not being honest enough because we're fucking weird as hell. Each one of us is super weird. We think thoughts that we're like, oh man, what was that? Right? We have dreams that we wake up and go, I guess I don't want to tell anyone that. But if you start telling, especially like your significant other, these things, life can get so juicy and delicious again, right? Because now you start realizing like, whoa, I guess I don't know this person I've been with for 10 years that I thought I was bored of and I knew everything about, right? Now that person is the new person on the block. And you put alter egos into this, like you were saying, oh man, role playing comes into the picture. I mean, there's a whole lot of juiciness that can come out of that, man. So I love that you put words to that because this is such a powerful way to connect with ourselves and with our romantic partners through connecting with cannabis. Fucking cool.
And dude, Ryan, thank you.
Dude, thank you.
I'm vibing this thing so much. On cannabis, it can be the training ground. A lot of things that I learned and got good at when I was high, I started to understand the mental pattern that I was breaking and redoing and recreating, that when I was not on the cannabis, I still am the most curious person in the world. My friends are always just like, I was out to dinner with a friend and his wife, and she was going in on me on something, and it was her moment to share what she wanted to share. And I was cool with it. I was like, and what she said, I was just like, that's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I honor you for sharing. It takes a lot of courage to share an opinion like you just shared. I don't know that you're wrong. In fact, I actually think you're right. So well done. I receive it. That's what I said. And she goes, what? I go, yeah, I receive it. She goes, and she looks at her husband. Well, he never just receives. I go, well, he's learning. It can cause moments of normal duress and defensiveness. You can train your brain to go, well, if I get more data from this human being, like any decision with more data, more good, solid, real, tactical data that's pertinent, the more data points, the more accurate you're going to. Facial recognition is on data points. The more data points, the more they can fucking recognize the face. The more data points I hear from somebody by simply just being curious and going, oh man, I don't know who they're talking about, but I'm fucking into this story. Not thinking it's me, knowing it's me, but just going, it's just, and it's just their fucking experience of the 17 times I've hung out with them.
Oh, dude, you know what's so fun about that too is there's a great quote that really embodies what you just said, right? Which is the ego is a terrible master, but a great servant, right? And so the whole idea, right, is that with cannabis, what is integration, right? This word's thrown around all the time. I have to integrate. I'm going to integrate, right? Integration, said simply, is just taking your PEAK experience. Whoa, I experienced, being behind the ego. I experienced being more curious. I experienced any of these things that I'm discerning that I like and I want more of. And now I'm working to understand and go behind the knife of the ego and understand what program is standing in the way of me being able to access that in my day-to-day life, right? And that, similar to a coach, right? Like, you're a coach, right? If you have a client that comes to you and says, Keith, I have this problem, right? And you help him out, he's like, cool, I'm in it, right? He comes back next time, you're like, so how'd that thing go? He's like, I didn't do anything for it. I just, whatever. You're like, the fuck? Like, and he's like, well, dude, I just figured talking to you about it would fix it. You're like, dude, you got to go have the conversation or try the thing, right? So why do we think it's any different with anything else in life, including plant medicines, right? Like, I continue, like I always say that, do you want to keep learning the same lesson and stay in the same grade forever? Or do you want to keep getting better and better and building lessons? Because the more that you show the plant, I'm here, I'm listening, and I'm going to do my end of the bargain, well, the plant loves that too, because the plant's like, fuck yeah, I can move on and teach you other stuff, right? And show you and illuminate things. And the plant, that's why I say it's a pocket coach, right? Like, it wants to see you succeed, but it's not its job to make you succeed, right? Like, I always say these medicines can show you the what. We get to figure out the how. And what you just described perfectly is you're figuring out the how. You figured out the how, and you continue to figure out the how, and you spread the how to other people. And that's like, a lot of what I do in human design and things like that, which is a rabbit hole I've dove way into. I wonder if you're a projector, because projectors, we are here to be provocateurs. We're here to do things that trigger the fuck out of people, but not specifically because we're trying to trigger, but because we're just like, I'm not going to live any other way than what feels true to me. And that triggers a lot of people because they want that too, but they've been told and they're living into stories that they can't, couldn't, shouldn't, wouldn't, whatever, right? But then when we start, when they start seeing us living unapologetically and becoming unfuckwithable, it can inspire them, lighthouse, once again, to be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take all the mask stuff too. And you know what? If I lose everything that I think matters to me in life, did it really even fucking matter? So it's fucking cool, man.
Dude, that's my tattoo, man. It's a lighthouse on waves crashing, right? What a horrible angle of this I'm giving you right now. But there it is. That's upside down, folks.
Dude. Well, dude, that synchronicity is fucking wild, dude. I pay attention to things. Like, I had no idea you had a lighthouse tattoo. I just was writing the intro and I was like, oh yeah, the lighthouse analogy. That's pretty cool.
Bro, my mantra that I teach every married game guy every single day is, I'm a lover, I'm a leader, I'm a lighthouse.
That is,
I'm a lover, I'm a leader, I'm a lighthouse. End of discussion.
Wow, dude.
Did I show up today as a lover, a leader, and a lighthouse? If not, then you didn't fucking win the day. Come on.
Exactly. And it's your fault.
Hey,
right?
Before we close, I know we got to close down here pretty 100%. Soon. Can we put something into the world together?
Please, let's go, dude. You had me at put something into the world together.
Listen, I'm just going to tell you what I want.
Receive mode.
And I don't know why I want it. I just want it. I would love to somehow be a spokesperson for a gummy brand that is called the GB19. And I would love to be going into my gummy tent with a brand that I am the face of, that just shares the joy of cannabis with the world. I'm not trying to be an owner of anything. I love talking about this, Ryan. I love what it's done to my life. I know it's made me the leader I am. I know there are so many fucking industry leaders that know me, that trust me with their deepest, darkest shit and lean on me in their darkest hours, the darkest of hours, because I can hold space for them with curiosity and no judgment. And I want to tell more people about it. You're the first person I've ever been able to connect with in this way. But if I'm telling you what I want, if there's somebody out there that says, you know what, let's make a guy a spokesperson for this thing, which would be sativa gummies, I would want to be a part of that.
Yes. Dude, I mean, we got to talk, because this is my industry, man. I mean, like, I have lots of different ideas, which is my personal way of describing these insights that we get, right? Like, when this came to me, and I'm probably, there's 8 billion people in the world. I guarantee I'm not the first person to think of it, but it came through the collective consciousness of the field. And when I got it, I was like, dude, Are you fucking kidding me? That's why I really think cannabis is an eternal child the same way, because the things it gives us are just so fucking funny that they remind you of how simple life can be. And, when it comes to those kind of ideas, like, I think those ideas are awesome. What I'm seeing right now, and I'm going to put it into the universe, is a brand called the Lighthouse brand, right? And it has influential figures, right, of individuals that each have their own story, right? A little story on the back of each package, right? To inspire. They're like little battery chargers that go out into the world, right? So people, instead of just taking a gummy and numbing out, there's an invitation on the back, right? Something to contemplate on based on who that individual is. Dude, I think this is a real thing. We're co-creating this right now in the ether.
and they can go to the website and go, hey, if you want to learn, like, cannabis, it's not just about, people go, you're high all the time. I go, no, you don't understand. I'm optimized all the time, motherfucker. I'm smart. Now, if I get too deep in the gummy sauce, my wife might say, hey, you're kind of the only one thinking you're smart right now. And I'll be like, you're right.
Hit stop, right. Not a rest stop.
I went over. But they can go to the website and we can just, like, could you imagine hearing conversations about what you and I talked about? More businessmen getting more creative ideas, creating more value in the world. It's just, that's a thing that I'm just like, that sounds like something that there was no faking it in that. When I talk to you, I go, this man's been on so many fucking experiences with the same lady I'm talking about that I've been fucking madly in love with, deeply in love with for the last 4.5 years, but 8 years for sure.
Yes.
That's very rare. That does not happen for me. But what if people could tune into these types of things and go, you know what? I'm going to do this and see what my day with my kid is like. What if a million fucking dads did that? Fuck, dude. Those kids would be so fucking changed and present and loved and believed in and feel confident about. Like, that's the fucking shit we need to be doing. Anyway, okay, so that's what I want.
Dude, Keith, you know what's so funny? You just threw out the exact same number of people. That is my goal, 1 million, right? So I say with everything I do, if we can get 1 million people connecting with cannabis consciously, right? What could that do to the energy and the vibration of the entire planet? Because it's not about the vehicle, right? Like, the same way that cannabis is like, it's not about me, man. It's about what you do as a result of having me in your life, right? The same way that, like, it's very similar to anything in life, right? It's not about the vehicle. I say all the time to all my students, like, yes, we're learning conscious cannabis, but if I only taught you guys cannabis, I'd be doing you the biggest disservice, because the plant's whole point of being here is to remind us of our true power. And when that happens, when we get 1 million people connecting with cannabis consciously, right? Laughing with their partners, right? Laughing at their own quote unquote shortcomings, laughing with their kids and playing hide and go seek and playing with Nerf guns, right? Like, these are all the things I do at retreats. When I do retreats with men, I get in there and, like, the second day after we do like some combo or something that's pretty rough, right? I'm like, all right, guys, we're going to get together and we're going to do a deep ceremony, right? And they're like, okay, cool. I'm like, all right, get your notebooks and, join the circle, right? So we get there and I have a Nerf gun loaded next to me, right? So everyone sits down and I'm like, all right, everyone grab your pen and just look at your paper for a second, and just think about, who you are. And right in the middle of it, dude, I just fucking shoot one of them right in the head, right, with a Nerf gun. And I'm like, Nerf guns are all around you. Grab one and go. And then it's just people pick teams and they run. And by the end of that, dude, right, like, that is true healing right there. And I'm not saying other things aren't, right? But like I said, healing can be light. It can be fun. It can be the best part of our day. We do not need to stay in this serious mode that everything has to be somber and serious and brutal and hard, right? Sure, it can be. And we're open to that if that comes up, right? But, I have the exact same vision, dude. So, man, we got to keep talking about this because we're creating something in the ether that is fucking awesome right now.
I believe it. I love it.
Dude.
Cool, man. This has been fucking great. Thanks for having me on. And I hope people walk away blessed and excited to be themselves. And dude, I don't think I've ever heard it said the way you said it, but when you said it, my heart immediately said that's exactly the way it's supposed to be said. And it was this. It's not about the cannabis. It's about what the cannabis teaches us about who we are, how powerful we are. Cannabis is a tool. That's why she's saying it's not about me. It's about me opening up who you are so you can love you again. That's the most beautiful shit on planet Earth. That I had not thought I had not put words to that concept, but that is a truth that will ring forever. So well fucking done, Ryan.
Dude, Keith, I got to get you back on, man. We could go for literally 5 more hours. I got to get out and see you in person. But man, I want to make sure I have the people know exactly where to find you, keep up with the podcast, everything. We'll have it in the show notes, but where can people find you, my man?
I'm most active on Instagram at Keith Yackey, or if you just go to keithyackey.com, you can see a whole host of shit I do there. And it talks about the podcast. It talks about married game. If a guy's his bedroom isn't as exciting as he wanted, he's not feeling wanted. There's a link there. You can figure out that. If he's looking for a brotherhood, I have a brotherhood I call the Ascend Brotherhood, and it's called Built for Joy. It's not an event; it's an experience. And we surf and we play volleyball and we play spike ball and we play pool and we get gummied up and we talk shit on it. I think talking shit is the 6th love language, man.
Dude, it's awesome.
And then I teach guys how to communicate in a way that's powerful so people listen and lean in. I have an experience I do here. It's a 2-day, very intense. I only let 10 people in the room. So there's little things I do to help people become the best version of them. And they can just find it all at keithyackey.com.
Dude, Keith, I fucking love it. And guys, I'm telling you, Keith is the real deal. Every time I listen to your stuff, I'm like, dude, I love your perspective. Like, you put out a video the other day that was like, it is 100% of your fault. Because if you're settling, no one's to blame. I was like, he fucking gets it, you know? And so, Keith, I got one last question for my man that I ask everyone, right?
Thank you. That compliment hit me, bro. Thank you. I do get it, and it feels good to hear from somebody who gets it.
Dude, 100%, man. Because like, you know, I really see, I don't know if you've ever studied hermetics, right? But like, you know, hermetic law is something that I've resonated a lot with because it's the truths of the universe, right? So polarity, right? Until you understand that, like, you know, if you're not aware of it, you'll swing from polarity to polarity, which if you look at the world, you can see all this, you know, until you learn that, you'll be bouncing back and forth and thinking it's fate, right? Same way with the law of correspondence. If you start expecting the external world to fit your standards, you're going to be high and dry real quick, right? And not in the good way. And so, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, when I see and hear you talk, I hear hermetics coming out of you. And that's why, for me, one of the many reasons it resonates so much, man. And so, guys, like I said, Keith is spitting the real truth, you know? And Keith, my last question for you is this, my man. Let's say someone listens to this episode and they're extremely pumped to look into cannabis and other psychedelics in their own life. What is the one piece of advice you would suggest to them to allow them to use proper discernment in choosing whether these medicines are right for them at this point in time?
I'm going to give you a short answer, and then I'm going to request a second appearance to give you my formula of actually how I have this answer. And I've broken it down to a 3-step process. And I can't believe we didn't even talk about on this episode. It's the thing I promised I would put on YouTube one day. So I'll tell you the short answer. Cool. But I just want you to know that if we discuss on the next one, I have a thing that I think you'll find to be really interesting. And you're the only person that I know that if I tell this to, I'm going to get an answer back like I've never gotten from anybody else. So I actually cannot wait to come back on to talk about that with you.
Let's go.
So the short answer is this. Life is very short, and if you're feeling urged to do something, I say you should try it. And if you can, try it with somebody who understands the experience more than you, so that way you can kind of buddy system in and figure it out. If you're curious, find somebody who's done it, jump into it. And always this, for anybody doing cannabis, wait another 45 minutes after you say, hey, I don't feel anything. Will you promise me to set your clock for at least, once you feel that, hey, nothing's happened, you set your damn clock for another 45 minutes before you take anything, and you let her show up in her good damn time. I got to close it with that, bro.
Dude, that is sage advice coming from someone who I know who is experienced not waiting 45 minutes, right? Like, everyone's got the edible story of something that wanted to be an experience, but became an ordeal very quickly, you know, with edibles. Guys, I first found Keith, like I stated in the beginning, when he spoke of his cannabis gummy tech, and immediately knew he was exactly my flavor of ice cream. Anyone that is courageous enough to look into the dark shadows of their psyche and beyond in order to rise to the occasion is someone that I want to have in my life. And I am beyond grateful for him coming on to share his love with each of you. For any of you looking to connect with Keith, find his podcast, and level up your marriage, make sure to dive into the show notes for this episode, where I will be laying out all of the easiest ways to do so. Keith, thank you so much for taking the time to create this epic heart flow on the show today, for doing the important work you are doing to empower the world at large through radical ownership, and for being a source of inspiration and light that charges the world around you. And until next time, my brother, may your journey be smooth and full of light. Aho.